Hey, it's Mike. Thank you so much for stopping by to check out this latest office hours recording. This was a pretty long one. We went almost 2 full hours. But if you are selling to local businesses and you're selling marketing services or agency services, I think you're going to get a ton of value out of this one. There's a lot of just good information, good conversation around the challenges of selling to businesses like restaurants and how you have to think through and structure your services and price points and things like that. If you are a high-level customer and you're thinking about how to use Highlevel to help you scale your services, there's lots of great conversation on that in here as well. Again, it is a longer one, so maybe check out the notes and the comments down below to find some timestamps to take you directly to what you're looking for. Okay, enjoy the call, and certainly let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll get right to them. All right. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Office Hours. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it, spending some of your Friday with me. I hope your day is off to a good start. I just got done with a beach walk. That's pretty darn good way to start the Friday. So that was nice. And here we are for Office Hours. So thank you, everybody, for being here. As I mentioned before already, these Office Hours calls are pure Q&A. I have nothing prepared for you. So if you have anything that I can attempt to help you with, I will absolutely do my best, and you can just chat in your questions or let me know if you'd like to talk, and we'll unmute you and we can have a conversation and do it that way. So would anybody like to kick us off here today? Anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to address or attempt to address? Don't be shy. Somebody out there has something. Yes, Paul, questions about missed call text back. Go for it, Paul.
Hi, Mike. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I feel like we're friends and family.
Or hear you at least. Good to hear you.
Yeah, later I'm at PJs. So anyway, I'm looking at the missed call text back in the UK.
Yep.
And talking to Twilio, we can't text to landline numbers. So I just wanted to get more of an understanding of what your thoughts are, whether to continue down the route of offering it or not. Because the way I'm looking at it is I talked to the local plumber who's had his landline number for 10 years and he doesn't want to change that at all. So I'm not quite sure how it can work if I give them a mobile number that then texts back to Mr. Prospect who's just called Joe's Plumber, and they get a text from some random mobile number saying thanks for your call, we missed it. I do know that Twilio offer like an alphanumeric where they can put their company name, so you can have Joe's Plumber, as long as it's 11 characters, that's the maximum. But they can't text landline, so it's only mobile, but obviously that's more than I would say landlines nowadays. So just I sort of know how it's set it up, but it's just whether it'll work UK wide and that sort of thing. Your thoughts on it, really?
Okay, yeah. There's a handful of different issues here that I guess that you want to address. Is one, if a customer has an existing number and they're saying, "Hey, man, like I love my number for whatever reason, and I just want to keep that number," then your option there is that you can actually port that number onto Twilio. So they have a process that you can go through where you can say, hey, take that number and put it onto the Twilio network. So then that number will have the capabilities that we're looking for. So you can go about that process. So that's one solution to that particular problem.
Okay, I do know that.
And then in terms of, in terms of texting like a landline, I mean, yeah, you can't do that in any scenario. I mean, like here in the United States, that's not a thing either. I mean, we're texting people if they called us from a mobile phone, right? That is an SMS enabled mobile phone. But as you said, almost all call volume today, for all practical purposes in most industries, is from mobile phones. And I should say, for most industries where this service is going to be a relevant, desirable service, almost all of their phone calls are from from mobile phones at this point. So you're going to get a high volume of cases where this is going to work. That being said, it's not going to work in every case, but it's certainly better. I mean, let's say it works in 75% of cases. It's a straightforward argument to say, well, let's do this and let's make it effective in those 75% of cases, and 25% it just won't work. But that's 75% more than we're doing today, right? So it's still going to have a big impact on your business and your ability to make sure that you're reconnecting with prospects and customers. So if somebody is calling from a landline, yeah, it's not going to work. But if they're calling from a mobile phone, it is. And then the last thing is, okay, well, Paul, when you said, hey, if I get a text back from a number and I don't recognize that number, is that going to be weird? Sorry, I've got something caught in my throat. The reality is, I would say, again, this is all about like consumer behavior and understanding user behavior and stuff in today's world. But I don't know anybody's phone number. I mean, if I called a business and a minute from now they texted me right back, I would have no clue who that is. I mean, one, because I almost never actually use phone numbers anymore, right? It's almost always like I click a link, there's a link, a click to call link or something like that on websites. So I do that. Or if I punch in the number, I mean, it's just in my head, and out again. Like I don't, or if it's a business that's important enough to me, I put the number into my phone.
Yeah.
And then I never look at the number again. I just pull up the contact on my phone and hit the number. Like I can barely tell you the phone numbers of the people that are closest to me in my life. I mean, really, like I have 3 kids. I could not tell you right now their phone numbers, So, the way the world works today, phone numbers themselves, unless it's like a vanity number, call 1-800-plumber, and you've got that vanity number. And so it's a very marketable number to remember. I think there's very, very little value in them. Not that you want to have that argument with a customer who thinks that their phone number has a bunch of value. You don't, because you don't need to try and change their mind. But I think that in any case, the point is when you respond back to them, you want to say the business that you're responding from in that message very clearly. Hey, this is Mike with servicesthatscale.com. I'm sorry I missed your call. Would love to reconnect or whatever. So this is Mike from Mike's Plumbing. Sorry I missed your call. So I think you always want to have that in the message. And then last thing, Paul, I was going to say, you can port the number onto the Twilio network, but you can also just forward numbers, right? So you can forward their existing LAN number to a new number in Twilio. So you can get some of the benefits of them keeping that old number. In that case, what I would do, Paul, is I would tell them, hey, look, keep your old number. That's awesome. You got your old number wherever you got your old number. Great. We can forward that to your new Twilio number. And then what I would absolutely recommend to anybody that wants to keep their old number, I mean, unless there's like it's a vanity number, whatever it is, where it's like actually a really marketable number, is I would just say, hey, let's start using these new smart numbers. That's what I call them. Let's use the smart numbers on your marketing, on your direct response marketing, because it's going to give us much, much more tracking, and visibility into what's working from your marketing campaigns than your traditional number is that doesn't do anything other than take a call, right? And so it's pretty hard to argue as a business person against the case for, oh, I've got a number that I can now do tracking, this called text back, all this type of stuff. Like there's so much value in those numbers. It's really hard to make the argument that I should just stick with a number just because I've always had that number. Again, because you can just forward that number, right? I mean, so you can keep the number. I'm not saying you have to give up that number.
Yeah, because I changed my packages to, rather than missed call text back, campaign missed call text back. So using, I call them tracking, but yeah, smart numbers.
Yeah.
So they keep their main number on their website, where they think their customers all know their number. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just, it's much more. I've been totally overthinking it, and I didn't know. I thought you could text a landline in the USA. Not that I'm working in the USA, and porting it to Twilio has made things a lot more simpler as well. I didn't know that as well. So yeah. It's cleared now that also if 75% it's working, then great. That's better than nothing at the moment, sort of thing. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think the cool thing is, Paul, like you said, I mean, maybe overthinking it a bit, but I mean, the reality is when you kind of piece together those various kind of responses or solutions or whatever, there's not a perfect scenario, right? I mean, unless that business was starting from scratch today with the Twilio numbers in place, there's not a perfect scenario. There's always going to be some overlap, or this existing number doesn't get the full functionality that my other numbers are using, or there's a period of time where I'm going to transition from this number to that number, whatever it is. The reality, I think, is that if it would be very interesting. A couple of things, actually. One, show of hands here from the people I can see faces. Who still has a landline? I'm just curious.
I do.
Do you really, Paul?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had it. It's so funny because my kids, they saw a regular phone someplace. I can't remember what it was, and they were like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, geez." I was like, "That's a phone, kid." They just had, they had never seen a regular phone. And then, so the other thing that I think would be very interesting, Paul, to study is if you took somebody who said, "I really love my number and it's valuable," but it's just a regular number. It's not like a vanity number. It's not like people are remembering, "Oh, that's 1-800-plumber." It's just, just whatever, right? I would be very curious if you said, "Okay, look, we're going to forward that number. So you're not going to lose any calls from that, right? But we're going to go ahead and start using the smart numbers everywhere that we can for tracking purposes." I wonder how long it would take the average business before they stopped getting calls on that old number. You know what I mean? Like, how long would it really take for the volume to just completely nosedive if you got, because I just don't think, I mean, like, how many businesses do you actually bother creating like a contact in your phone and putting in the phone number? Right. I mean, maybe there's a handful of businesses that, like, oh, these are businesses that I use all the time repeatedly. And so I bother putting their phone as a contact record. I mean, putting their number as a contact record in my phone. There's a handful of businesses maybe that I do that. Otherwise, every other business, I just real quick, just Google, pull up, there's a, click to call someplace or whatever, or there's their phone number. And then I just call, like, and I think that's probably the much more common user behavior. So my point is just that those people who think that their numbers are real valuable, I don't think there's a lot of businesses, there's not a lot of people, that are loading up their phone numbers for those businesses into their phone and counting on that number, like not changing or whatever.
It's clear my marketing message is more about the customers who are already marketing and to get them to maximize their returns.
That's right.
And so going down that route, using the tracking is the sell anyway. So yeah.
And you nailed it there, Paul, right? And that's the bigger, broader, more important lesson for all of us, right? Which is, I call it having to do the double sale, Paul. I never want to have to do a double sale on a customer. If I have to sell you on you should be doing marketing and then sell you on you should be doing your marketing with me, that's a double sell and it's hard, right? I don't ever want to do that. But if you're already marketing and I say, "Hey, Paul, I can help you with that. I see you're already doing marketing. That's awesome. I can help you maximize your investments." Much easier conversation, right? Much easier sale.
Good. I talked myself out of it. Thanks very much. That's really clear. That's really helped. I was, as usual, sit there worrying about something that hasn't even happened, and it wasn't even relevant. So brilliant. Thanks, Mike. Great stuff.
Yeah, of course, you bet.
Yes.
Let's see here. Vince, I see additional question related to using other phone numbers for our clients. Yeah, go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Mike? I've seen this before where a client, say it's a plumber in Paul's case, on his website, on his business cards, all his marketing material, he'll have a different number just for, and say, text us, and use that as an option for his customers. And a lot of people don't even like to call anymore. They just rather text the business and say, hey, can you guys give us a price on changing out a toilet or whatever? Have you seen that, and can that be implemented with Highlevel?
Oh, totally. Except for, so you don't have to have a separate number if you don't want to, but that is a solution for the scenario like you just said. Hey, that plumber wants to keep their number. Well, let's just add a text us number. So there's a second number now, one of them, dedicated for texting. The reality is, of course, we could just give them one phone number and they could use it for both, calls and text. But yes, that's a great solution to that scenario where somebody's got a number and they want to keep it, and it's a traditional phone number. And yeah, the statistics, Vince, are pretty off the charts that customers prefer to text versus call now. And certainly, I mean, gosh, if you're dealing with younger generation customers, I'd say anybody 35 and under, I would say that is really, really, really skews like way on the side of, hey, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to text you and get a response. So I think that's absolutely the case. I know for me, it's so funny, like how my behavior has changed, over time. Like I just, if somebody randomly calls me, it's almost like, who's trying to break into my home? Like, why are you calling me? And then the other thing is, yeah, just the expectation of texting as the first choice has become, it really is my default in most cases. I'd say the only time that the default is I'm picking up my phone is just because like I'm driving and I need to be able to dial somebody while I'm driving and talk to them on the speakerphone, but that's not that often.
Yeah, and I've got kids that are in their 20s and they don't call me anymore. They haven't called me since they were in high school.
Yeah. And if you want to talk to them on the phone, you better let them know in advance via text, right? Like,
yeah,
can we talk, and then get a confirmation and then you call. So that's awesome. Yeah, Vince, but I think that's a great idea though. For somebody who's got a traditional number, wants to keep that number, add the second number as a text option. And then the reality is they can get calls on that number as well, and they probably will, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. Cool. Let's see here. I saw a raised hand earlier, but it looks like that maybe has gone away. So I see Sean's question says, hi, Mike, grateful to be here. Grateful to have you here, Sean. Thank you. It says, pretend you were starting from scratch with GoHighlevel. What services would you offer your clients? Ideally, the best service to get real, fast, tangible results and maybe easiest for fulfillment. Chat, Google My Business. Quick background, I've had my marketing agency for 11 years now, but new to GoHighlevel and excited to automate and get better ROI for our clients. Okay, great question, Sean. I'm going to give you, the first answer I'm going to give you is one that you're not going to like. Nobody likes it because it's kind of like I'm giving you your medicine, right? So the best answer to this question is that you should put together and provide the services that are the best fit for your specific clients, right? So, because if you're telling me that you have got auto mechanics as clients, and Kyle is telling me that he has lawyers as clients, well, there's going to be, different services that are going to get the result that you were asking about. How can I get high ROI and, and all that good stuff, right? So that's the best answer. The best answer is you should be focused on a particular type of customer. You should know their needs. You should design your services to meet their needs. Okay. So given though, that you probably want, there's a more satisfying answer, which is there are some things that are almost universally, winners that can be delivered very easily and start to see some benefits from. Okay, so one that what we were just talking about, so combining like the website chat widget and also missed call text back, and also just the tracking benefits around the phone number, since both of those things, the web chat and missed call text back, will be utilizing a Twilio number. Now you've got just a lot of benefits packed into what can be a really low price point related to those services. And the statistics on small businesses, how many of their phone calls, inbound phone calls that they miss and never return, are startling, shocking, and true. And true, by the way. Spend some time today trying to get a hold of some of your favorite small businesses and see which ones respond and which ones get back to you. It's ugly. That combined then with the universal inbox, where now I've got this web interface where I can see all of these contact points from all of these prospects and customers coming into one place, that I can then respond in that one place. I can have my team, if I have team, respond in that one place and have visibility into it. That's really valuable and really compelling, again, for just about any business.
Sorry to interrupt, Mike. That really helps, actually, because so like I said, I've had my agency for 11 years and we've done everything. It started off as just social media, then it went to web design, then it became just this one-stop shop, which was too much and kind of for everybody, right? We had a lot of home services, but now it's like specifically focusing on HVAC, like one niche. We're still keeping all the current clients, but gearing towards just, one niche. And then, but then jumping into GoHighlevel, it's like, this is fantastic. But then it's also like, holy smokes, there's so much. Like, I'm trying to just boil it down to my happy little 3 packages.
Yeah.
And then what's actually going to work best for these guys, so that helps.
That's awesome. And that's exactly what you should be doing. That's the right approach. If the biggest mistake that I see people making or want to make is, I'm just going to go turn on Highlevel for my customers and start charging them. I have access to this awesome piece of software. I mean, what an overwhelming, mess that would be for most small businesses. They wouldn't even know what to do with it, right? So yeah, if you can instead say, hey, from this platform, I can craft these solutions. And my first solution is, hey, let's give you a better foundation in terms of just keeping in touch, responding to and communicating with your prospects and customers. I can sit down with almost every small business on the planet and say, hey guys, it's kind of crazy for us to invest anything more in your marketing until you have a solid foundation. And right now you don't have a solid foundation. You're missing 40% of the stuff that's coming to you today. So why spend to crank up that volume before we make sure that you can even capture the stuff that's coming in, right? So that's also another reason, Sean, why the website as a service and offering a free website, or it doesn't have to be free if you don't want to offer a free, but a website as a service is also another very compelling one. Very few small businesses have really good functioning websites. And then also very few small businesses are just really happy with their website. Like, oh, that thing's awesome and really represents me well, So the fact that you could take care of that for them very quickly and easily using Highlevel, and then just charge them for hosting or roll that into the overall kind of investment in the platform that they're making with you. That's really, really compelling, because again, you can make that argument of a solid foundation. Like, look, we've got to give you a good home on the internet, because if you don't have a good home on the internet, you're lost. And right now you have an outdated website that doesn't follow structural best practices, isn't going to rank well, doesn't have good mobile pages. It doesn't load fast. Like you can, you don't have the web chat, you don't have good lead capture, you don't have call tracking. Let's just knock all of that out in one shot and give you that great solid foundation. Very nice perceived ROI and real ROI, right, from your customers there. So I'm a huge fan of those things. Certainly, depending on the business, a reactivation campaign can be very fast ROI, and can just be impressive. Like, for the business that's done no real follow-up marketing, but has a database of customers, and then all of a sudden you send out, just an offer, any old offer. I mean, if they haven't done any outbound marketing to their list, and all of a sudden you just send out a good old offer, it can be pretty eye-opening when all of a sudden sales start coming in and appointments start getting booked, and they're just like, oh man, you're a magician, right? That's another really good one. Those are the ones that jump top of mind to me that I would say, can apply in most cases, most industries, and can be executed on quickly, and high perceived value, high real value, all that.
That helps a lot, especially like what you were just talking about, having a foundation. It's like we could go do all the Facebook ads in the world, but if we're bringing them back to like, a crappy website, or they can't track that, or, it makes sense. And before we spend any money, like, let's get your home taken care of first.
Exactly. And that's why we started offering free websites at our business, is exactly that, because we were trying to do this more sophisticated marketing for our customers, and we were looking bad because they had terrible websites and no, lead capture form on their websites and all that stuff. And we're like, ugh, like we're losing out on probably 50% of the benefit we get, for them because of this. So we started offering free websites to just say, hey, look, Mr. Customer, we don't want to try and sell you on another thing. We just sold you on our services. We don't now want to tell you, oh, our services would work if you would invest in a $5,000 website. So we're just going to build this stinking website for you for free, because you do need a new website. And all of this is going to work better if you have one. And so now all of a sudden they're like going, you're gonna build me a free website? Like, you're not gonna, no, yeah, we're not gonna charge you for it. We want this to work. So we're gonna build you a nice new website. We have a team that can do it. Boom, we'll knock it out for you. They loved it, and now they're like really loyal customers because of that. So
a quick question on that, Mike, sorry. And then with the website, like a lot of these guys do have like a website. Do you just kind of, we'll build our own kind of for them and they can just do whatever they want with that one? Or do we try and, jump on their domain and jump on their hosting and get, kind of get rid of their current,
Oh, yeah, no. The objective is you build a new website. It's on Highlevel. Okay. So then they will point their domain to this new website.
Okay.
Them on Highlevel.
Just point the domain that way instead. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the goal.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Kyle, I see you've had your hand raised patiently over there. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm great. How can I help you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, stoked to be here. I'm sorry. I have like a bunch of questions. So I'll keep it to like one.
Go for it.
Well, actually, I think this one's real quick. And that is, can you split test subject lines in GoHighlevel?
Let's see here. Right now, I'm trying to think in the latest rollout, I think the answer is still no.
Mm-hmm.
And we can jump in there in 1 second. I can just check, but I think the answer is still no. It is so stinking close to being an amazing email platform, and it's just, there's these handful of things that are not there yet that seem like they would be easy to put in that they just haven't finished. When they do, it will be amazing. Right now, it's still, I can tell you right now, I don't really use it for any of my marketing. I only use it for transactional kind of follow-up. My marketing, broadcast messaging and stuff like that is still done outside of it for some of these reasons. Got
it. Okay. Then I'll ask if it's cool with you, I'll ask my next quickie.
Of course, yeah, go for it.
So I serve restaurants, right? I serve bars and restaurants, cafes, and I had this seafood company hit me up, a seafood delivery company hit me up yesterday, and the guy's like, he's had pretty mixed success, actually quite a bit of good success, and then it's kind of bottomed out. But he's sort of in this pressure cooker situation where he needs to like deliver a certain amount, and he's really looking for a media buyer to get in the trenches with him, and like just kind of like he just wants someone to like jam on ads like on Monday. And I'm like, man, I have like a methodology, a system that works, really well for bars and restaurants. It could work for you too. But I'm not like a pure media buyer who like gets in there and like, I'm not just going to like fart around in ads manager all day. So, I'm actually in the process of just connecting him with a couple of, pure media buyers, but I couldn't help but think, I kind of wondered, well, what would Mike do in that situation? And
run like hell.
Okay.
You made the right decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Yes. Yeah. No. I would run, hand them off to somebody that's what they do for a living. I have no idea why you do. I mean, unless that person says, hey, look, I've got a big ad budget and I can pay you well for your time. Because my business needs somebody to invest a lot of time in actual ad management, then run like crazy. Stick with your systematic approach and walk away knowing that you made a great decision.
Okay, awesome. I have a couple others, but I want to I thank you for that, and maybe if it can come back to me, that's cool. But
of course, absolutely. Here, have your next question queued up. I will go to real quick because I just don't want to lose it in the chat. For sure. Okay, cool. So Patrick asks, okay, a couple of questions. One on the 4-story process. Second on the roadmap you showed us. Yeah, go for it, Patrick.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I learned all of these. What would Mike do? Man, that is like got to be a crypto coin right there, brother. I've asked that myself many times. Run like hell is usually I want some money. No. Okay, so real quick. So I'm 2 projects I'm working on. One niche is defined. I have worked with the little team that I'm a part of to jump in and get into GoHighlevel finally. Long story there. So I'm trying to get their technical guys to get up to speed as quickly as possible. And this kind of ties into a couple of things. The roadmap you went over yesterday was awesome. And just to clarify, that part that says Sales Funnel Bootcamp, that's I know I was in that, but we really don't have ongoing access to that, right? That's just the MSP Academy overall, right? I mean,
No, Agency Sales Funnel Bootcamp is a separate product that you get included with MSP Academy. But no, you can access Agency Sales Funnel Bootcamp at any time ongoing.
Okay, I may ping you guys on that one on your support because I can't get into that one in mine, and I thought it was shut down. But anyway, and then one quick question: when I logged in to get the all access pass, because I figured I already had everything anyway, but I'm in there, and the landing page that popped up said to check a box somewhere about what school you're enrolled in, the LVRG Academy school, and I'm not seeing that on my dashboard, but I assume I'm one level deep because I'm already logged in, right? The final display is just the different trainings you offer, the little boxes, and you're either in or not, right? Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So on the 4 stories, my question is this: for just like a niche, and I'll just tell you that switching from that little project, but my own niche that I'm relaunching in, it's trying to get the 4 stories around that niche, right? I don't have experience working in that niche, but I'm learning a lot about it, and I want to be passionate. I could work in it for 10 years, but it's like when you write those 4 stories, like, you know how your 4 stories we can kind of relate to, right? Because yours was all about building a business and building a services business, and so like I'm having a harder time creating my stories. Like, if it's okay just to include a lot of information from my past that has nothing to do with this business to create credibility and experience and stories, but I don't have a lot of stories like directly out of that niche. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And so let me just give a little bit of context to everybody real quick. So Patrick is referring to these 4 stories that I tell people these 4 stories are good. And I mean, not even good. They are like foundational content that every business should be creating content around and sharing as part of their marketing. Okay. So the first one being your origin story. Okay, the origin story of the business. So how did the business get started? You know, why did it get started? That type of thing. And then the purpose story. So the purpose story is your why behind why you're doing what you're doing, right? Lots of customers are going to be much more compelled by the why of your business than they are the business itself, right? So I buy shoes from Tom Shoes because they also give shoes to kids in other countries that don't have shoes, right? Or, whatever it is, or there's a business here, Patrick's in business here in my city, but Patrick is a very active member of these nonprofit causes in our city. And I see him doing that stuff all the time. And he, ties his business to supporting those things or whatever. And so I like to work with Patrick because he's got that connection to taking care of my town that I really like, so whatever, but that why behind why you're doing what you're doing. The next one is your positioning story. So how are you different? How are you different than the other competitive options that are out there in the marketplace? You got to have some answer for that, right? As a customer saying, hey, I hear there's 5 other marketing firms like yours. Why should I pick you? Why should I choose you, right? And then the final one is transformation stories, which is the transformations that your customers experience from working with you. You want to tell their story, right? So those are the 4 stories. So what Patrick is saying is, hey, Mike, I'm getting started in a brand new niche. I'm having a hard time crafting what are, I think, the compelling stories given that case. And so Patrick, and to anybody in this situation, I think that the reality is right now, you've just got to do the best that you can, and leveraging stuff from your past life, your past niches or your past jobs or anything like that. It's all fair game, right? But you got to be able to tell those stories. So you've got to just do your best to leverage what are the experiences and knowledge that you have that you can apply. And I mean, if you had a customer that one day said, well, hey, Patrick, this isn't directly in my industry or my, whatever. And then, the answer is, yeah, you're right. It's not, but, it is a very similar scenario in another industry, and, and it translates, and some customers are going to be okay with that. And some customers aren't, but all you need is one. Now you can start using that one as your story, right? Like that one's now your case study. Now you have some experience. So, it will take a little bit of time to it may take a little bit of time to transition that story to be a little more congruent with the niche that you're going after today. But you can't let that stop you. You just got to do your best and craft that story as well as you can.
That makes sense. I mean? Yeah. That makes sense. Thanks. That's just, I think it's more of a creative block. I think a lot of the stories are going to be more for their trust in me as a business person, not so much. I mean, yes, I want to have testimonials, and I will in that niche, but also like, who is this guy? Can I trust him? And so it's more been a creative block for me, looking at the, staring at the page, not putting my, throwing my tent out there wide enough to get the ideas flowing. So that really helps. I'll use some of my other stories. And to tell you real quick on the comment of where to start. So I'm doing this again. In this particular niche, so I've had 3 of these home service providers in this niche, different ones do different things in my home over the last, 10 years. And so I've had 2 lunches. I'm about to have the 3rd with 2 of them. And I'm asking, very open. I mean, I'm just telling them, hey, I want to offer marketing services in your niche. Here's my background. And I know enough about all the other things that we've had lunch. And I've really extracted some good information. I mean, like one of them who's the first one that helped me literally 10 years ago, they did my security. And I just tell you the niche. I always get afraid of the niches, but forget it. If you guys want to go after it, let's do it together. But I'm going after the home AV, automation market,
Yeah.
people that install that stuff for a lot of reasons. I've researched it, but so these guys did some security like 10 years ago, and I'm sitting with this guy and we talked about the universal dashboard. He's really intrigued with that as my first level, all the little basic SaaS. And the reactivation campaign, all I had to do was say, listen, you guys did a great service for me 10 years ago, but I've never received one piece of communication from you in 10 years. You've never sent me an email. You've never called me. I've actually had 2 other firms come in and do work since we worked together. And he was just sitting there going, oh, okay, that makes sense. So it's kind of cool doing market. Now I'm going to give it to him once I get it up to get that testimonial for about 90 days. Which I think is fine, that kind of trade, and maybe even longer. I really don't care if he, pays me for the first year because I'm going to get so much good feedback. But
sure. Yeah.
So anyway, I got all that from you, but I'm excited about it because, like you said, there's nothing like having a real conversations to figure out what you need to do. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, and a couple of things. So I would add to this. So one, nobody here should be afraid of doing some bartering / free whatever to begin with to get those initial case studies and that initial experience. I mean, come on, like we can't be above that. Like we've got to be willing to just hustle and get that first experience, right? And I'm not saying that you have to position it as free. I'm all about maintaining your value, but I can do that with Patrick by saying, hey, Patrick, you know what? I'm just getting started in this niche. I would love to have a good, successful case study customer. I would be glad to do, the first 3 months of my services at no cost to prove to you what I can do for your business if you would agree to be a case study for me after I do that, right? And you can see the results. And so I'm not saying, oh, just, I'm going to grovel and just, Patrick, let me do free work for you. And maybe one day you'll think I'm worth something. I'm saying, hey, it's going to have value. It does have value, but your case study has value to me too. So if we can do a trade here, then, that's a fair value exchange of value. Right. So, and make it clear that after that 3 months, you're going to charge them. Hey, if you're happy with my services after that 3 months, I'm going to ask you to be paying for my services. And maybe you can say, but, I'll give you a friendly discount, in exchange for this, again, I'll give you a 15% discount or whatever it is, but you should make all of those things clear. So again, it is a clear trade of value. So everybody should be willing to do that to get started. And then the other thing that I would just say on these 4 stories is don't feel the pressure to make the stories like, glamorous in any way. Like, this doesn't have to be that, I'm starting my businesses so I can feed children in whatever country. Like you don't, if that's not really your authentic purpose to the business, don't feel like you got to gussy it up like that. I mean, your authentic purpose to your business can be, hey, you know what? I really love the small business community and I think that I can help them. And I think that because the small business community is such an important engine of our economy and our communities, what a great impact that would be if I can help them. Awesome. That's a perfectly fine story, right? I mean, if that's what's authentic to you and you deliver that with enthusiasm, people are going to be like, dude, this is awesome. That's great. So it doesn't have to be some exotic, again, like it doesn't have to be the Tom shoes, of we're putting shoes on kids around the world. If that's what you want to do that. That's awesome. I love it. But I don't want anybody to feel like they have to have the pressure of being not authentic just to gussy up these stories. The reality is, look around you. How many businesses are actually out there telling their stories? The far majority of them are not. The biggest brands are, the biggest companies are, and they're successful at that. But small businesses, your competitors, for the most part, aren't. So the fact that you're out there telling any story is winning. You're going to be one leg, you're going to be ahead of your competition. You're going to be more memorable. You're going to make more connections. So you don't have to overdo it. Just do it.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool.
Hey, this is a catch-all for all your classes, right, Mike? This Q&A is for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah. Bart says, how can I best use a chatbot for a multi-location business that only has one website? Okay, cool, Bart. That's a good question. So if you're doing this with Highlevel, and I'm sure with any other, or not, I shouldn't say any other, but I would think most other chatbots at this point, what I would probably do is once I've got that initial connection with them, I would probably respond back with a message that says, and I'm trying to think, Bart, maybe you can unmute and tell me the specific scenario. But let's say I'm a dry cleaner and I've got 4 locations in San Diego, right? And they're spread out by 10 miles each or whatever. And so somebody chats, I would respond back with, hey, we have 4 locations. Location number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Which one is most convenient, to you, or which one, would you prefer to use, type of thing. And then they could just respond back. I would probably tell them back, you can respond back with the number of your choice. So 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? And that's a nice, easy way then that you could then automate an additional response based on that number. So if they respond back with 1, you respond back with, whatever, right? So I'm not a fan of trying to over automate and over engineer this stuff. Like, I think the ideal scenario is you collect whatever information you need to collect to then, get to that human interaction, or just give them the information that they need if you can do that very quickly in an automated way. So, hey, I'm looking for your phone, I'm looking for your address, right? If you're in a business where somebody asks you for your address, restaurants, address, menu, reservations, right? Okay, so if I'm if I'm a restaurant, I should be able to pretty easily automate a bunch of that communication, even just using Highlevel's basic kind of bot there. But I also should be paying enough attention that if somebody gets kind of lost, that I can respond back with some human communication, right? Bart just jumped back into the call. So Bart, you just got back on the call. I just answered your question. So you can check in the recording for that. Sorry, I didn't realize you weren't still on the call. So anyway, I hope that helps. Let's see here. All right, Kyle, you're back up until I find another question. Go for it.
All right. Great. So many questions. Okay, so do you work with a lot of restaurants, right?
I do, yeah.
What do you find are the top 3 low-hanging fruit systems to implement for them?
Top 3 low-hanging fruit systems to implement for them. That's a great question. So I would say missed call, text back.
Okay.
I would say some sort of web chat if they don't have them. And also I'm assuming that these restaurants, but this maybe not an assumption to make though, is that they're using some sort of online reservation system. They absolutely need to be using some sort of online reservation system if they're a reservation business. Reputation, so review, collection, and distribution. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would say now that the Yext platform is built in, just absolutely making sure that all that information is accurate and distributed to as many places as you can. So when people are searching, that they're actually finding their info. And then I would say that very, very like crazy, stupid, simple, and ridiculously underutilized by restaurants, but most small businesses. And it sounds like, Kyle, maybe you already know this, is just a basic ad campaign that you're spending almost no money on, and you're targeting right in your area. I mean, it's just like, and that ad campaign, I mean, you could make it more of a system, so like a birthday campaign, that's a nice system one. But honestly, I'm shocked at the number of small businesses that don't do exactly what I just described with Patrick. Like, create some piece of content that's compelling, that's kind of telling your story, whether that's in a video or just some professional photography of your place and your dishes or whatever it is, and just be promoting that for $10 a day. Like,
totally. I actually, I'd love to actually dive into Mark's question about owners being generally adverse to marketing. And I also, before I forget, I'd love to know if you have any solutions to loyalty rewards programs or anything like that. But this is interesting because I got this objection this week, which was, I find there's a lot of ego with like chefs and, and restaurant owners, and I come from the industry as well. And yeah, they're just like, we hate emailing people, and it's just like, well, okay, but like, do you hate it when someone's image pops up in your social feed? Like, it's not really any different. They opted into it. It's a barter, right? So I'd love to hear how you would overcome that. And then the other thing that they said is they hate discounting, which is totally fair. I hate it too. But the tip of the spear with my program is like, it's like they're irresistible offers, right? So it's like, classic shit like buy one, get one, or like, buy one cocktail, get the second one for $1. And so I asked him, I'm like, so do you see offers like that as discounting? And he was like, yes. And I was like, well, I just don't. And so I couldn't actually, it just wasn't a fit. And so I would love to just jam on that.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. And this is some really good stuff, Kyle. So thank you for sharing it, and good questions, because I think that these are the types of, I think these questions are important for just about everybody. So the first one, okay, you were talking about doing that double sale that I talked about again, right? Which is like, you don't like to email, right? And so you're actually having to convince them of the value of marketing, of the fact that, just like you said, like, which is your answer is brilliant. Like, hey, that person opted in for your email. So you may not like it for whatever reason, but that customer does. They're asking for you to email them. That's why they gave you their email address. So, let's focus on our customers, like not on our own personal preferences, right? So, so here's an answer that I think almost every marketing agency, marketing service provider working with small businesses needs to hear. And this goes back to my rant, Patrick, that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, right? Which is, you guys need to be marketers, right? You guys need to be marketers. You need to lead the way. You need to demonstrate, right? You need to demonstrate what your capabilities are by doing them, by showing that you are capable of being marketers yourselves. That is the best way to sell your services by far and away. Okay. So Kyle, in that particular case, what I said earlier in this call is, look, I don't ever want to be in a position where I'm doing the double sale. If I'm having a one-on-one sales conversation with Kyle, if you've made it into my orbit, okay, and I've taken the time to get on the phone with you or have a meeting with you or whatever the heck it is, and we're still arguing about that, I've failed in my marketing. I have, because you should have never made that. You should have never made it to me thinking that way. I screwed up someplace, right? So the best way to avoid that double sale is through your content marketing, right? It's through your thought leadership and using that as content marketing. So Kyle, and I don't know, you may be doing this already. So this is not feedback. I'm not criticizing you in any way or anything like that. I'm saying in general, if you're not producing, videos on a YouTube channel for the restaurant community where you are, putting out there, hey, a common thing that I hear from, general managers and owners of restaurants is that they don't like to do X, Y, and Z. And here's my response to you, and then you do that response. Now you're handling that question at scale, right? You're now able to have 1,000 people watch that video. And then out of that 1,000 people, X percentage of them go, Kyle was right. Yep. It's time to get in touch with Kyle. And then they get in touch with you. And the first thing out of their mouth, Kyle, I used to think exactly what you said about that whole emailing thing. And then I watched that video that you have on YouTube and I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. So here I am calling you to try and, tail between my legs. Let's get some services going. Right. So, that is Drucker, right? The point of marketing is to make sales superfluous, right? The point of marketing is to bring somebody to us that is already sold as much as possible. And content marketing is the best way to do that. So ideally, you're doing everything you can with your marketing to put yourself in a situation where you're not doing the double sale, okay? In that particular case, Kyle, another person mentioned was, Mark, about the restaurant owners generally being averse to marketing. There's a lot of ego in that business. And there's a lot of ego in particular segments of that business. And so, Kyle, that's the other thing that I would ask you based on the comment that you made there about how you're trying to do the, what did you call it? The irresistible offer for that restaurant, that you may be talking to the wrong avatar, right? So within the restaurant industry, there's a ton of different avatars and there's a ton of different types of restaurants. And I would tell you right now, Kyle, that there are, 100 of my favorite restaurants in San Diego. They're the ones that I will go to, every night that I have an opportunity, that none of them should be running a irresistible, 2-for-1 discount, anything like that. I would say they're absolutely right in pushing back on that and not doing that, because those restaurants are compelling to me and to others because of their things, Jim, because of their image and their experience of that image as much as they are because of anything else, because of, the host is a nice person when I go in there, or the bathrooms are clean, or because they call me back right away when I call them, or any of that stuff, right? I've told this story recently. I can't remember if it was on an office hours call, but like the most successful restaurant group in San Diego, their websites they barely have websites. Like you go to the restaurant's website and it's like, one of their hottest bars right now, their entire website, you get to their website and it just says the name of the bar sucks. And that's their whole website. That's it. Like there's no contact people. There's no and you're just like, what is this? Right? But they are so good at creating an experience and creating the desirability of their brand through imagery and through the actual execution of the experience while you're there, that, they don't do there's zero discounting, there's zero 2-for-1s, there's nothing like that. None of that happens. And they're by far the most desirable and profitable, I'm sure, businesses, restaurants in San Diego, they just kill it. So then there are a bazillion other types of restaurants that are more quick service, fast service, all that type of stuff, where those types of offers that you're talking about putting together are perfect for them. And they should be doing them, and they should be marketing like crazy, and they should be texting follow-ups and loyalty campaigns and all that type of stuff. So always just making sure that you're understanding that even within a niche, there can be a lot of different types of avatars, and making sure that you're speaking to the right avatar and suggesting the right solution to that avatar, I think is incredibly important. Again, for that restaurant that you're talking to, I don't know the nature of that restaurant. It may not be a good fit for them to do that kind of service. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does. It does, but yeah, it leads me. It's tricky because it's like a burger joint, right? And it would, something like that. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it would be very easy to give them an ROI, but maybe they're just very more brand sensitive, and so it kind of, when you said that there, the hottest restaurant is, this place that just has We Suck, but they're still full every night. So that would basically, lead me to believe, well, there's nothing I can do for those guys, or is that true? Or what would you do for a place that's always jammed, and they don't really do any marketing, don't seem to be interested in it? Is there how do you approach that?
Well, okay, so here's the scenario, Kyle. Is that restaurant group that I'm talking about is a unicorn. I mean, there are 1,000 other restaurants in San Diego that are trying their damnedest to be that restaurant group, and they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to be a brand based business, but they're not full. They're not full at night. They're struggling. Okay. But if you're trying to be a brand-based business, the day that you go to Groupon is probably the day that you decided, I'm no longer a brand-based business. I've killed my business brand. I mean, so as soon as you go down that path, you're making a decision of, I'm somebody else, I'm something else. And so a lot of those chefs that start those businesses, they're starting restaurants because they are passionate believers in their food and in the experience that they're trying to create, and they don't want to sell that out to anybody. There's probably a lot of them that they would go, I'd rather just go broke and go get a job cooking at one of those other restaurants that's doing well than to run a Groupon offer to fill my restaurant. Like, I'm not going to do that. So those restaurants that we're talking about hire PR firms. That's why PR firms exist, because PR firms, their job is to tell the story of that restaurant in a compelling way so that they don't have to run Groupon offers. Ooh. That's what PR firms do. Oh. So that's more who I'm competing with at there San Diego is PR firms. I tell stories on my website and I promote those stories. I tell stories on my social media. Okay. So that's the issue, is how are stories told today? Stories are told today, and particularly about restaurants and hot bars, on Instagram. That's 90% of it in today's world. And so you're flipping through your Instagram feed and you see that really cool, sexy cocktail image. And you're like, ooh, that place is, oh man, look at that cocktail. And it's the beautiful girl sitting there having the cocktail. And I'm like, oh man, I want to go there, right? It's not an ad. There's no promotion to it. They didn't put a 2-for-1 coupon or anything like that in the comments. It's good old traditional brand advertising. It's seduction, right? So that's what those businesses want you to do is seduction marketing, not the more forced 2-for-1sies.
That's great. So for those folks, I say, I have this system, this service. We come in, we shoot, we take beautiful photos, we write we put together a well-written story about you guys. We make you look like stars, and then we disseminate it over social media and we connect it with a couple of publications. Boom, that costs how much?
Well, I can give you
ish.
So yeah, ish. So if you were a PR firm, which is that's a PR firm presentation that you just gave. That's what PR firms do. They say, hey, look, I'm going to make sure your story. I know somebody over at their San Diego, and I know somebody at San Diego Magazine, so I can get them to publish a story about you guys. And I'm going to write up that story and make sure it's a favorable story. Make sure we've got all the sexy pictures, that type of thing, right? And there's some truth to that, but it's limited truth because they don't own those assets. So they can only get us to publish those stories if we want to, right? Which is why I own the asset. And so my recommendation to you is, if you were really serious about going this route, is to own the asset like I do. Create your own media property. Okay, so that way you just own it. You own the racetrack. But if you were just going to pitch that as like a PR firm, I think most PR firms are like in the restaurant space is interesting. It's different because most restaurants don't have a ton of money. But you know, it's like a $15,000 like kind of, you know, retainer for, you know, X periods of months type of thing. And then we're gonna, it's still an industry that they base most of what they're doing on some sort of hourly rate.
Yeah.
So the partner at the PR firm is $300 an hour. The junior people right out of college are $100 an hour. And then there's some layer in between there. And for that $15,000 retainer, you're going to get a strategy session from the partner. That's like a 6-hour thing. So that's $1,800 of that dollars. And then you're going to get the minions at the firm working for you on a regular basis to get your story traction out there. And maybe they're going to be doing some social media stuff for you. And that's $100 an hour, you know. So that's kind of how they position it. That's why I don't like that industry, by the way, is because it is still hourly based primarily. But that's kind of how they would pitch it and position it.
Awesome. Yeah, I could go on. Mark asked if you think restaurants are too difficult as a niche.
I don't think so, Mark. I think that you have to know the specific segment that you're going after and really craft your solutions for them and have price points that are in alignment with that. What's that? There's that one restaurant company that I shared not too long ago. What is it? That's just blowing up. Pop Menu. Is that the guys? I can't remember, but there's a company right now that's on fire. And they're like a $287 a month. You get your digital menu, you get your loyalty campaign, you get, you know, a bunch of these things that you could do with Highlevel kind of wrapped into a solution. And it's $287 a month. You get a free website with it. You know, those are price points and offers that are right for that, you know, kind of lower end, quick service, you know, type of restaurant model that's huge in America today. And so as long as you design that solution really well to really fit their needs, be recurring revenue and all that good stuff, I think it's a market that can be perfectly viable. I think that on the higher end of that, there's a totally viable thing too, which is what, you know, I'm doing competing with the PR firms. I've turned their storytelling into a much more leverageable, scalable model that's not based on hourly by owning the media asset. So, you know, I think it can be a good market. It's got its challenges just like every market, but I think that you can work with that.
Yeah, if I could just jump in real quick, I appreciate everything you're talking about. Yeah. Restaurants. That is my niche. Yeah. I have GHL and I do have the pro account, so I'm trying to become more of a SaaS company, like a lot of your videos mentioned, doing some you know database reactivation and some birthday marketing formulas. But I still have not gotten very much positive. I haven't really gotten anything. So, you know, I'm brand new into it. I have a pretty good website, I think. I have a pretty good name. I've actually gone door to door with some restaurants. I've done a few days of that. So I can get your thoughts on that. But more importantly, I mean, I think the problem I'm having is trying to tell or explain to these people what SaaS is. I mean, you know, you have
so let me stop you right there, Mark, because I'll fix you in a jiffy here. Stop doing that. You should not be selling SaaS to any restaurant. You should not be selling anything other than a system, a solution to those restaurants. Okay. So let me just go ahead and show you. It is Pop Menu is that company that I was referring to. And let me just go ahead and share my screen and I'll show you guys. So this is Pop Menu. Okay. And look at the restaurant tool designed to turn more first-time guests into regulars. Okay. And you can see right here, they've made this very simple for a restaurant owner to understand. Guest lands on your website, engages with reviews, places an order online, orders picked up, guest receives, you know, reviews, blah, 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 right? And so it is giving you the system that you need to run and grow your business. Website hosting and design, dynamic one-of-a-kind menu, direct ordering and delivery, marketing automation. Okay. And so the deal here is, though, what they are selling you is a complete solution. They're not selling you just a tool that you have to sit down and figure out how to use. Okay. You can see here that you can even do photography for you and all that type of stuff. So what I mean by that, Mark, is that you should be building, okay, let's say for all the quick service restaurants out there, you have determined that what they need is an effective website. They need a review capture system. They need a missed call text back system. They need a reactivation system, and they need a loyalty system. You need to sit down and create all of that for restaurants, so it's in a snapshot, so that you have very minor customization that you need to do of that snapshot for each new restaurant that you sign up. And then you turn that system on. This isn't a tool for them to sit down and figure out how to use, and or anything like that. It is a system that you turn on for them. Okay, and so what I mean by that is, let's use a birthday campaign as an example. Okay, if you are selling to them, hey, here's Highlevel, and one of the things that you could do, like as an example, is you could set up birthday campaigns.
Well, that's exactly my lead-in offer, and I really understand seller results and not the system for systems. But I mean, my main thing is selling birthday marketing formula. So
cool. So what you've got to do, Mark, is you've got to have those birthday campaigns, the landing page where they opt in, or the text where they opt in, the coupon that gets sent to them on their birthday. All of that should be pre-made by you in the snapshot, where all you've got to do then is, for that snapshot, change the name of the restaurant, change the image that they want to have when that coupon goes out the door, and update whatever the offer 40% off, 50% off, free, 2 for 1, whatever you want to put in there. But the system is already in place. So you sit down with the restaurant.
I'm sorry, Rob. I do have all that. I do have, the workflows built. Honestly, my problem is I really can't get anybody to call, and I'm doing cold email outreach, and it just has not been successful. I think I have a pretty good website, but I've had 1,000 people through, and I have not gotten, I've gotten one demo call, which I sold, which is funny, but I've only gotten one.
So what, do you mind if I take a look at your website?
Sure. It's called viralchef.com.
Viralchef.com?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I also have
I like the name.
Thanks. I have 2,000 people on Facebook group as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a video, the kind of explainer video. So I do lead in with the marketing campaigns and go into also, database reactivation.
Cool.
It's not perfect, by the way, but
Oh yeah, but it's not bad either. So cool. And let me just one of the things that I would do here is just kind of audit yourself against a pop menu, just because these guys are having a ton of success.
Yeah, I see that. Yes, I will consider that.
Yeah. So, kind of going through your site and, okay, what are the opportunities for me to maybe, look at how they're doing some of these things and maybe enhance how I'm doing things. But I do think, so you got a discovery call, you got a 14-day trial. How are you? So you said you've gotten 1,000 people here. How are you getting those people here?
Just cold email. In the restaurant niche, I scraped a pretty large list. Some of them are going out through one service, but some of them are branded emails going out through, GoHighlevel.
Yeah. It's interesting. So, I mean, by getting people here through cold email, which I understand the benefit of cold email. I've done a ton of cold email prospecting, but you're getting the most cold people, right? For sure. The fact that you've had 1,000 of them, though, I mean, how many emails have you sent?
Tens of 10,000, 20,000. I don't even know anymore. Like 20,000. I mean, it's actually my click-through rate's probably 5%, maybe. Which isn't too bad. I mean, I think I don't know. Obviously, I'm not doing something right, but I think I also did. And can you scroll up to the top of the screen as if you're going to, because I do have a lead magnet that should pop up. So yeah, I'm wondering why. There it is. I have a free report that I wrote. So for what it's worth.
Okay, cool. This free report, I would definitely, just my 2 cents worth here based on who it is that you're targeting and kind of your value proposition. I would change this to be a free report that's much more directly benefit oriented to them. So here, here's the 7 steps you can take to add 20% more customers to your restaurant this year, or something like that. Like, just, I think, probably 95% of restaurants are like, Facebook marketing, like what? I want to cook and, have more people in my restaurant. Like, I think it needs to be more benefit oriented for what it is, the problem that you're solving, the ultimate problem that you're solving. That's my 2 cents on that.
I'd like to pick up a little bit on what Kyle was saying earlier. I mean, it's amazing that Facebook marketing is so uncommon with restaurants. You go to the restaurant web or Facebook page, they have a nice page. They've never done marketing, and you go to the website, they don't even have a Facebook pixel installed. So they have no idea who's going to their Facebook page. That's why I'm wondering. That's why I mentioned they just seem to be notoriously difficult to market or seem to be adverse to marketing in general. Yeah.
What kind of restaurants are you selling to?
Single location, full service. So like trying to
have you ever worked in the restaurant industry?
One night when I was 18, I quit.
Okay. So if you had worked in the restaurant industry, you would know that, and especially in the single location full service restaurant industry, you would know that 99% of those businesses are never ever going to sit down and run a Facebook ad in their existence. It's the single location restaurant, full service restaurant business is you are cleaning dishes at 12:30 at night. You're taking you're trying to collect all the receipts from the register and make sure that you have placed your orders for your supplier by tomorrow morning, by the cutoff, to make sure that you get the food delivered that you need, it is a hands-on, unglamorous, with rare exception for the businesses that are really killing it. It is a all-consuming, all hours of the day, hands-on, dealing with dishes, customers, somebody, made a mess in the bathroom, the busboy quit, the dishwasher didn't show up, there's zero time in their day to sit and think about, maybe I should learn some Facebook advertising. It's just it's just a grind. It's tough. So, and I know I've worked in the restaurant industry. I actually love the restaurant industry, and I worked in it for years. So it's just one of those things where if you were in their shoes for a day, you would get it. And that's the reason why it's so important to just be able to deliver them a solution where it's like, hey, you're really not going to have to do much of anything, and I'm going to make more business come your way. One thing there's a couple things I would recommend personally, Mark, is going back. So hold on, let me go back to your website and share the screen. I would really start experimenting with making just a more restaurant, like kind of cosmetically appealing for the restaurant industry website. Which what I mean by that is just a little bit more of the imagery focus, of the restaurant, and, food shots and things like that. I know it's a little thing, but I think that if they come and they see what they want, what they want to see for themselves, like, I want to come as a restaurant owner, as a full service restaurant owner in particular, I want my restaurant to look good. I want it to have that good impression of, oh man, that's our website, again, it's kind of that seduction thing. Like, we want to look attractive to the world. And I think that if they come here and you're able to kind of demonstrate that feel to them, I think that would help a lot. I would make sure that you go and talk to some restaurant owners and find out the language, like bookings. I don't know that's language that they use or understand.
That should be reservation.
Yeah, reservations, parties, private parties, if they do private parties at their business, like stuff like that. And then this is a recommendation I would have for everybody, is if your website, if you're getting people here, but you're just not getting people to take action, I would consider just making this more of a landing page that you're sending people to first, and just trying to get that initial opt-in for contact, and make it very high level value proposition based. Could your restaurant use an additional 8 to 12, reservations each week, right? And, just a contact, get in touch, let's have a conversation. That's what we do. And we'd love to share with you how we can help you. Just so you can start getting some more conversations with people going, and ask some of the questions and hear their feedback and hear where they're struggling and hear what language they use and all that good stuff. Just that interaction in the early stages of your business is so valuable that I would consider making it more of a landing page based thing where you're just trying to get that initial contact going.
I have a little more experience in the restaurant business than I kind of led on to, but I think that one of the reasons I really like going door to door, because I can actually make those contacts and just have discussions with them. So that's one of the ways I'm doing that until I can actually have discussions with clients.
What's the feedback? I'm curious, what is the feedback when you go and you have those conversations and you say, hey, look, this is what we do. We do these birthday marketing campaigns and they're really effective because X, Y, and Z. What is the feedback you're getting?
It's amazing. The only people who are really I was very nervous about doing it first. And, the only people who are actually rude to me are the 21-year-old hostesses who have absolutely no reason to be. But anyway, it's been very good. I mean, it's been very friendly. People have been open about it. Most people say, yeah, I have somebody doing my Facebook. I have somebody doing my social media or something along those lines. So it's been generally good. I haven't done it as much as I'm going to start doing again. I'm going to, that's my goal next week, but it's been pretty positive. Some people are, put off, but in general, it's been, I'm surprised how friendly and open they are, but I haven't been able to sell one yet. So we're in the list one.
And are you making an offer there on the spot when you're talking to them in person?
Well, what I'm doing is, since most of the time, I was doing spas in the beginning, but one of the things that I'm doing, since I actually don't get to speak to the owner much, is I have this pretty much my website on a piece of paper. So I leave that, and so that's one of the things that I'm doing, is just leaving this behind with my business card. It's really thick. People are like, "Oh, can I keep this?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I hadn't planned." But generally, it's been positive. I just haven't been able to sign anybody yet.
Okay, so what? But are you making them an offer? What are you asking them when you say you're not getting them to sign yet? What are you asking them to sign up for?
Well, I just basically go to the website, and we have this, birthday marketing formula that we think can drive, 8 to 10 parties or reservations, if not bookings, into your restaurant. And that's, I am leading with that birthday special marketing. And that's
Okay.
kind of what I'm trying to sell.
And the way that you're pitching that, Mark, they would have to pay additional for ad budget, right?
Yes, I work in their ad account.
Okay. So the way that I would do this, if I were trying to sell this in this marketplace, is I would take full control to start here of the ability to start running birthday marketing campaigns for them. And I would just say, hey, Mark, why don't you just let me start getting you some new reservations here over the next couple of weeks, just to demonstrate how this works. You don't have to pay me anything. Okay. And then if you see the benefit of it, we can take it from there.
That's okay, exactly, I'm sorry. But that's exactly an email campaign I have right now. I'll run your campaign for free. I just want to show you results. And then maybe that's why I'm getting a lot of people, but.
Yeah, maybe. But in order to do that, you're talking about having to go into their ad campaigns and things like that, right? You're putting up, those are big roadblocks.
Yeah. I agree.
So if you were to set up, a Facebook ad account and presence in your market, that's like San Diego restaurant lovers, and then you can just start running birthday ad campaigns. So it's like, I can just turn this on.
Wow.
Right. That's going to be you're going to spend a little bit of money out of pocket for the ads, but that's going to be much higher ROI, I think, than, you spending your time and not being able to have that, like, just real direct display of value offer where it's like, hey, Mark, look, do you mind if I just start sending you some reservations just to demonstrate this? And you go, well, what are you talking about? Yeah, I'm just going to, if you don't mind, I've got a system in place. I know how this works. I'm just going to go ahead and start booking you some reservations. I'll track everything and be able to show you so you can see the people who come in here, but you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything different. Just keep on serving great dinners and taking care of your guests. Some of those guests that are coming in are going to come from my marketing system. Do you mind if I do that and just show you? Okay. And then it's great. Awesome. I'll be back in a couple of weeks, kind of thing. All right. And you come marching in with your report of, hey, look, here's what happened. We put this offer out there, and, here's what it did. I would try your very best to get into that position so that could be your pitch. Just remove as many roadblocks as you can, right? This is why Groupon was so successful, right? Groupon was so successful because they said, Mark, look, you don't have to do anything, man. Just, can I offer people a 2-for-1 steak dinner? Yes, great. We'll see you in 30 days with a check, right? And what are you talking about? Yeah, I'm gonna go market your 2-for-1 thing. I'm gonna make people pay for it, and then I'm gonna come to you with a check. And that was the power of Groupon. Like, I don't need anything from you other than just tell me I can run this deal, right? So as much as you can remove those roadblocks so that you can just get going, I think is super, super, super attractive in that market.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I agree. It has been a roadblock, or something that I've perceived as a roadblock. But I am using GHL white label onboarding. So, that kind of took a little bit of the friction out of the first, my only use, my NM1 scenario is that it didn't seem to be a problem with him. But but I agree. I mean, it's something that I've been very fearful of. So thank you. I think that's a great idea.
Cool. Yeah. The other thing I would just say, Mark, is like from a sales perspective, man, if you're going door to door and getting those conversations, because those conversations are hard. I mean, going door to door is hard, and getting those conversations and getting those busy people to stop and have a conversation with you is hard. So I commend you for doing it. But if you're going through all that effort, man, and anybody else who's listening to this who's doing a similar thing, have an offer to make. Have an offer to make. And you know, I don't mean like a leave behind offer. I mean a like, hey, Mark, while I've got you here, you know, let's do X, Y, and Z. Like, let's get this sucker going, man. Like something where, I mean, if you've already gotten there, you've gone through all that effort of showing up and having their attention and all that type of stuff. Like, have something that you're pitching right there on the spot and trying to get a yes to, even if there's no financial transaction that gets done. It's just whatever is that next step to get them closer to that, right? Like, go for it. Like have something there that you're going for. Okay, does that make sense?
Absolutely, I completely agree. Like, let me just send you some customers and see if that works, and you know, just get my foot in the door. Yeah, I agree completely. I think that's a great idea. So
awesome. And
thank you so much for all this.
Oh, of course. Everything. Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say, Mark, I still think that the more system-based approach, okay, like a pop menu is doing, is still that's a fantastic approach. Like, I'm going to sign up people for this system that they're paying $297 a month for, and that type of thing. So I still think that that's where you want to go with this. Is you want to go with, you know, even if your foot in the door is, hey, I can just start delivering you reservations, and you're doing that from your ad account that you've set up, that's, you know, San Diego Restaurant Lovers or whatever, then in that next step, if you have success with that, you still want to sell that system and get them onto that system. That's still the objective, I think, is still the right way to go about it in that industry. Like, I love like what Pop Menu has done. You just got to make it like stupid simple for those restaurants, you know, to just make it very, very easy. The whole thing should ideally be set up by you and be, you know, nearly 100% automated.
So basically a done for you marketing campaigns.
Yeah. And just when you say done for you, to me, in my mind, there's some sort of implied, like, that means that you're running their marketing for them. I'm not saying that has to be the case. I'm just saying that the system itself should do the work, right? If somebody opts in for the birthday special, then the system should have follow-up campaigns that automatically run, that the restaurant owner knows, I don't have to do anything. That system is just doing all this follow-up marketing to them based on their birthday, and great, right? So like it just makes it so that the restaurant owner just knows, hey, these systems are in place, but I barely have to lift a finger. I'm still just serving food and whatever, you know. He just ran an ad that when people text that to get their coupon, now there's these follow-up systems that are automatically happening. I didn't have to do anything as a restaurant owner.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That's the idea behind the birthday marketing formula. I mean, it's an evergreen campaign. I mean, it's really an amazing. It's so beneficial to restaurants. You know, the people celebrate their birthday every day of the week, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So anyway, but yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Thank you so much for your help.
And Sarah made a great recommendation here, which I love. Sarah, thank you for sharing that. It says for higher end restaurants, they want reviews and also connect them with the influencers. So there's a great opportunity, and this is part of what PR firms do as their service. If you're trying to build up the sex appeal of a restaurant, there is nothing more effective in today's world for doing that than local influencers, the local foodies in the community, because there's a bazillion of them certainly in every major city. I mean, San Diego, there's a ton of them. That it's, you know, they're the cool kids that are out at all the cool restaurants and out at all the cool bars every night, and they're having the best dinners and they're taking the best pictures and putting them on Instagram and all that stuff. And people are following them and going, "Oh, I got to go to that bar, man! Look at that! You know, that looks so cool, right?" That has massive influence in the bar and restaurant industry in today's world. And so, if you can just be a broker where, hey, look, I'm going to come in with a professional photographer. We're going to get you these beautiful pictures. You guys need professional photography. And then I'm going to make sure that those pictures get distributed, right? And what I do is I have a network of influencers that I work with that I'm going to make sure that they're telling the story of your restaurant out there. So now you go and you hit up all those influencers, and you have, you know, if you're doing this regularly, of course, you're just going to have like a regular network of those influencers that you know by first name, that you can call them up. And literally, this is what we do at There San Diego. We have some hot picture of a restaurant or whatever that we want to promote, and we ping all those influencers and we go, hey, it's Mike at There San Diego. Would love it if you could give us a share on some of these images, right? And they do. They scratch our back, we scratch theirs. We charge that restaurant for a campaign. Those influencers are now all out there sharing the hot photography of this restaurant. We can go back to the restaurant and go, look, 15 influencers here in San Diego just shared your awesome photography from your restaurant and said good things about your restaurant, right? And then the next level up of that is you can actually have those influencers, you know, hey, we want you to go into the restaurant on a Friday or Saturday night. We want you to eat there. We want you to drink there. We'll cover the cost of it. You take a bunch of awesome pictures and do your thing on Instagram, please, right? And that's, you know, an exchange of value here. We're going to cover your tab, but we want you to, you know, take a bunch of awesome pictures and do Instagram stories and Instagram posts and Instagram reels. And they do that. And so now their followers that follow them because they know that they go out to all the cool restaurants, see them at that restaurant, telling the story. And it doesn't have to be any offer in there. There doesn't have to be any coupons, no 2-for-1s, no nothing like that. It's just, ooh, I went and ate it, you know, Mark's Cafe last night. And this place is awesome. If you haven't been and you haven't tried their, you know, cheesecake yet, oh, you're missing out. You know, have that and an espresso martini and you'll be going back for the rest of your life. You know, so like that's just such a great service. And that again, that's what PR firms, you know, are typically doing is they're coordinating, they're quarterbacking all of that. But that can be turned into a productized offer so easily, like so easily.
I really believe that micro influencers are one of the least utilized marketing concepts out there right now. I mean, you get a pennies on the top. Yeah.
And their influence is just growing and growing and growing. I absolutely agree with you.
Especially people under, like, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Kyle, I can tell you've had something to say for a while.
I've been dying here. This is awesome. Yeah. So, Mark, yeah, cause this is like, I obsess over like this is my niche right here. Right. And I have been in the industry for like, since I was, 15, almost half my life or more than half my life. And so these folks, they don't want anything else to do. Right. So the moment they perceive you as like, okay, he'll send me, candidly 8 to 12 bookings per week. Like if I'm a restaurant owner, I'm like, okay. And then I start thinking, and I'm going to have to do what? We're going to have to meet. So what I do and has worked really well is I go in and I offer a $1 media kit. So I literally go in and I take photos and I'm like, hey, I noticed you haven't, well, I don't say this, but I just say, look, I've managed a whole bunch of these accounts for restaurants and even at restaurants that I've worked at. I know it's a huge pain in the ass to just come up with content. So I'd like to just come in for $1 and I will create a media kit and you can just go there and you have all your content and you do whatever you want with it. And then that just like the response is high to that. So then I can be like, oh, like then I just have a conversation with them and I find out what their problems really are. And like Mike said, and this is what I'm trying to build up toward, we want to become this like one-stop shop for them. So it's like, it's not just enough to do a birthday campaign. It's also like, we'll do the birthday campaign. We'll do an anniversary campaign. We'll do a whole acquisition campaign where we give maybe some irresistible offers or whatever. And then you just slowly, you kind of just give them more and more and more. And then they trust, once they trust you, they become very open to like, oh, now we'll do a monthly newsletter and now we'll do this and we'll do that. But it's all about like getting in their world, because I find that most of them they're not online. They're not hanging out, like looking at, especially owners. They're like in the trenches. They're probably not going to look at the landing page, or they're going to hit it and they're going to be like, well, I don't know what's going on. They're going to leave. Right. So I think the door-to-door thing is smart. I know it's a pain in the ass when getting started. I do the same thing, but yeah, so those were just kind of my burning 2 cents. And And also, I think the 1 month campaign thing where you're like, hey, would you like me to just, so my thing is, I'd love to run a campaign for you where I send you 50 to 100 new guests in 1 month. And if you're happy with it at the end of it, you pay me. And if not, you don't, So anyways, that's what I've seen work for me. Yeah.
Kyle, what market are you in? What city or?
I'm in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada.
Cool. Yeah, awesome area. Mark, where are you at?
I'm in South Florida, right out West Palm Beach.
Awesome. Well, okay, awesome. So you guys are both in great markets.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to compete either. There's not going to be much overlap in the middle of the country. The advice that I have to both of you more than anything in this world is if you are not building up your presence as micro influencers in the food scene in your market, you are just absolutely 100% missing the boat. If you are not taking the perspective of you are a media company, you are absolutely missing the whole thing. You just are. The fastest, easiest foot in the door by far and away in this industry is, and I can just show you right now, so you're not, no, I'm not full of BS, is check out my inbox on Instagram right now. Probably hard with the camera here. Check out my inbox on Instagram right now. Those are all restaurants and bars sending me messages. And why are they sending me messages? Because all day throughout the day, if you look at our accounts, what are we doing? We're posting pictures of bars and restaurants and food. And you look at our Instagram story and it's bars and restaurants and food. And we're sharing what the other influencers are doing in the market. We are a hub of activity for restaurant and food stuff in San Diego. And so the easiest damn thing in the world is post about a restaurant or bar, tag them, and guess what? It shows up in their direct messages in Instagram. They cannot miss you. It is so much more compelling than an email. And then guess what? They respond. And now, hey, you know what? We'd love to get you some more visibility for your restaurant. We could start, with just some super low ticket, easy offer. And what you will find is that the low ticket, easiest offer in the world is just media. Just share some content on social media for them and have an offer related to that. Cause you guys can literally sit in your living room, and do this all day long and start getting customers and generating revenue from it. When you say that, Kyle, when you say that the restaurant owners aren't online, they are online on Instagram. That is it. That is the only place that they are online. This is as far as I'm concerned, Instagram is the only thing that exists in the restaurant space right now. Facebook, blah. If you're going after a certain audience, it's still, it's still fine. But the action is on Instagram by far and away. But if you guys aren't being media properties yourselves, if you aren't being the influencers yourself in your market, you are absolutely missing the low-hanging fruit. That is the low-hanging fruit.
That's good. That's good.
Sonny, been waiting over there patiently. How you doing?
Hey, doing well. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me clearly, Mike?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so I would have follow-ups to their questions, but I better dig into what I was waiting for. So we are targeting hair salons at the moment, and we initially went to the market with what we thought was an irresistible order because it was free. But the challenge that we're facing is we're not able to get any conversations. So far, since May, we've done 1,000 emails. We had an email campaign going on, 1% reply rate, 10% open rate. Since June, Until now, we've done over 4,500 outbound cold calls, and 50 to 80% of those calls result in either a voicemail, a missed call text back, or a no answer. And then we ran a brand introduction video ad. We did reach up to about 8,000 people, but the demographic was like 65 and above. I don't know if we actually got the target business owners. And so at this point, I want to know what goes through your mind, in this scenario. What would be the next step or the next troubleshooting thought for you?
So let me make sure I understand this correctly. You're selling to salons, and you did all of that activity that you're talking about to try and reach salon owners and get a response from them, and you're saying you're not getting a response from them?
Correct. We're not able to get, for the volume of activity that we've done, we're not able to have any conversations. We're not able to get them on the phone. For the ones that we do get on the phone, we're able to make an offer, right? The free offer, because that's part of the exchange. We're still trying to fine tune our service system and productize it. So we're willing to give free services, pretty much unlimited, within the scope of, I'm using our terminology, right? Our internal terminology, with the high level features. We're willing to offer that. And most of them, the ones that we do get on the phone, they say, hey, I don't want any free stuff. Interesting, but of course there's some doubt there. But what I'm trying to bring out is the biggest obstacle right now is actually getting an interaction, whether that's through email or phone or a response through Facebook.
Yeah. So almost the exact same answer I would have as I just gave those other guys, which is you should be all over Instagram. I mean, all over Instagram. Salon owners, and certainly where you're in Dallas area, aren't you?
Yes.
Dude, go spend a little time on Instagram and look at all of the hot salons are all posting on Instagram. Instagram is where they live. Instagram is a visual platform. And so salons take pictures of their beautiful clients after they just did their hair and they post them on Instagram, right? So that's where they live.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be all over Instagram.
Okay.
And then the other thing I gotta say is so like the salon industry, and this may be similar to the restaurant space as well, is if you look at who did well in the salon industry, it was Demand Force.
Okay.
Demand Force did really well selling to salons. And it was just, hey, we'll reduce the number of people, we'll reduce the number of no-shows. That was their whole pitch is, hey, you've got way too many no-shows. It's costing you 20% to your bottom line. We'll reduce the number of no-shows. And all they did was just text-based reminders. Okay. But I'm 90% sure that almost all of that selling was done either just in person, feet on the street, walking in, making the pitch, or it was done through industry channels. So salon owners go to a lot of, right, continuing education, or the big conference in Vegas where it's all the salon owners that are all Paul Mitchell salons, and they all go and they party and go to business growth. They go to like classes at those things in Vegas on how do you grow your business and how do you make more money and stuff like that. So I would be very heavily looking at, how do I get into those channels? How do I get to be the speaker at one of those events, the sponsor at one of those events, all that type of stuff. And then I would be all over Instagram. I would be on Instagram like crazy. And then I have to wrap up, guys, here because I have to get onto a meeting. But I would just say, as a theme, again, going back to my rant that I mentioned earlier, you guys have got to be marketers yourselves. You've got to be content marketers. You've got to be media companies. There is nothing else in today's world. I mean, it's all content and who am I seeing show up with content that is attractive to me, that is pulling me into their world, everything else is spam. Everything else is spam. If you're cold calling me, cold texting me, cold emailing me, cold DMing me, anything, it's spam. I'm not saying that it's actually spam. I'm not saying that it can't work. It will work. There will be a percentage of people it will work. Absolutely. But the reality is, as was said in Mark Roberget's book about growing sales and marketing at HubSpot that I've referred to in my last couple of YouTube videos. He said, look, consumers in today's world, business owners in today's world, we literally pay for tools to keep you from being able to contact me, right? I've got call blockers on my phone. I've got SaneBox on my email that automatically captures everything. If I get an unwanted DM in Instagram, I immediately delete it and mark it as spam. Like, that's just the way the world works today. But if I see you posting good content on social media and there's value to that content, and then you're pinging me with some value. So, our trick, the easiest thing in the world, right, is we go out to restaurants, we take some pictures while we're out at the restaurants, we tag the restaurant in the picture when we post it. Next thing you know, the restaurant is messaging us, hey, thanks for tagging us. That's awesome you came in, blah, 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 whatever. Other restaurants are seeing us do that, and the other restaurants contact us and go, hey, you were just at such and such restaurant that's right in our neighborhood. How about you come in Saturday night? We'll take care of your dinner for you. We'd love to have you come in and take some pictures while you're at our place. Sure, you're inviting me in? Yeah, while I'm there, let me shake your hand and talk to you a little bit about our marketing, right? So it's just, you got to be inbound marketers. You've got to be content marketers. You've got to be producers that are pulling people in through media, or you're just fighting the tides of how the world works today. You know what I mean? So that is my single most important piece of overall advice for the conversations that we're having today. Thank you, Sarah. And then the details of how to execute on that are super heavy Instagram, for these markets that we're talking about here, like super heavy Instagram. So just something to keep in mind there. Okay. Awesome. Great conversations. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. Happy Friday. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend and everything like that. And we'll get a replay up on this on YouTube here ASAP. But appreciate all of you, your time and attention as always. And we will see you on a future office hours call, okay? Take care, everybody. Have a great one. All right, I hope you got a lot out of that call. Please make sure that you subscribe to these office hours calls. We're doing them as live streams here in YouTube. Also over at Facebook, you should see a subscription thing somewhere around here on my channel. I'd love to see you on those calls. And if I can help you with anything with your business, I'd be glad to. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure and subscribe. Share this with anybody that would get some value. And please leave some comments down below. We'll talk soon.